Today's presentation is entitled Somatic Skills for Resilience and Trauma-Informed Lawyering. Today's presenter is Rachel Monaco Wilcox. Rachel is a lawyer, teacher, artist, and philanthropist. She's practiced law and taught in the U.S. for over 20 years, working with trafficked persons, victims of sensitive crimes, individuals with disabilities, and she keeps a private practice in mediation and estate planning. She's passionate about mentoring across the spectrum, including art therapy, doctoral students, trafficking survivors, young lawyers, emerging founders of nonprofits, and pre-law hopefuls. Rachel is also the founder of Lotus Legal Clinic here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Thanks for being here today, Rachel. I will turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. All right, folks, get ready to just first of all take a moment. Whatever day you've had up to this point, leave it, hit pause, and be here now. You're going to enjoy this. I'm not going to be talking at you, hopefully, very much. We're doing. This is a skills workshop. We are building skills. I'm going to teach you some things that, frankly, based on my experience and other people's, have the capacity to really change your life and change your days. And because you are changed, you will then change others' lives too. So we're going to dive in and use the chat if you want. Feel free to, if you need to unmute and say something that's pressing, go for it. But otherwise, just get ready to do. Put your inner critic aside. Yes, there's art making involved, and everyone has that capacity within them. So we're going to just move forward a slide and dive in. The first thing I want to do is to do a little bit of a check-in. And I'll share my screen because if we have the resilience checklist, sorry, I didn't do this ahead of time, we should have, but the resilience checklist was shared ahead of time, and I want you to take a look at that. Resilience is sort of the focus of why do we do some of these skills. And when you are resilient, the benefit for you, maybe as lawyers, is that you are more sustainable, creative, ethical, capable. You can't make ethical judgments from a place that's completely off-center. So in case you haven't checked in lately with your central nervous system, this is a good time to refamiliarize yourself with it and understand that you are a human being with a body. Your body and your state of ability to engage is so much operating behind the scenes. No matter what your brain is doing, your body is also very much in charge. So some of the skills today are intended based on a lot of the work that I've done with trauma survivors and my own life to just be a resilient person. It's important to understand that our bodies, the skills that we're going to use today, somatic, soma means body, are part of what we're doing. So we can forward the slide, and the handout 2 on the website is what you're looking at. I can't share my screen with you, but that's okay. When you look at that resilience handout, I want you to ask yourself, what do you see on there that is maybe a pinch point? And, do I adapt to changing circumstances? Do I see the humorous side of things in all circumstances? Do I bounce back after illness or injury? Can I stay focused under pressure? Chances are, yes, you probably can. Do I think of myself as a strong person when I face challenges? Am I able to handle unpleasant feelings? Just let it roll off. Let it roll. If you're reviewing that list and there are pinch points, pay attention to what those are, because it gives you information. And now you know maybe a little bit of an area to say, maybe I need to be really kind to myself on that point. Why is that? So let's move forward a slide. All right, here's our roadmap. This is where we're going. In the very brief time we have, I'm going to fit this all in, believe it or not, and you will feel really good at the end of it. We've already done that resilience checklist. I offer it just as an interesting tool, right? Breath work. You're going to learn 4 breathing exercises, 3.5. These are fast. They're easy, simple. You can do them anywhere, and they really make a big difference for who you are, actually, who you are, to reconnect to yourself, be all of you will. Then we're gonna do an art therapy exercise called the Zen Tangle. You'll love it. Again, these are meant to be very fast. Things you could do in an airport bathroom when your flight has been canceled. Yes, I have done that. And a 13-hour layover in the Geneva airport in the basement because they locked the rest of the airport. And I find myself in there at 2 o'clock in the morning saying, I really, really need to de-stress right now. What am I going to do? They work and you're going to enjoy that. So we'll go over, if we have time, some of the science behind why these techniques matter. But again, as I say, this is a doing session, not talk at you, lots of information. The most important thing, because you guys get talked at with information all day. What are lawyers except verbal, advocate, use your voice and your writing, which is a voice, but this is all logic based. What I've learned over the course of my journey, and here's my joke, the joke I'll make. I have like a 15-page curriculum vitae full of awards, national, local, international, to be able to be here with you today to teach you to breathe and doodle. Because lawyers, just for all words, right? All words, and advocacy matters. But in this day and age, I think words are less trustworthy than they have ever been. Because of that, I think it's really important to understand the power of our embodied presence. Soma is body. I'll give you science to back things up, but the most important thing is that we do these things. And then we're going to have some takeaways. I'll recap. And we can move forward to the next slide because I think this one introduces us to the feedback haiku. I'm going to introduce this quickly, and then we'll circle back. I want you to think about these three things, these prompts. I like, I wish, I wonder. So we're going to come back to that at the end of the session. And I'm gathering responses because I learn as much as you do. I've taken this workshop all over the country, West Virginia College of Law, National Crime Victims Law Institute, where I kind of have a standing gig there now, which is exciting to be able to deliver these things. And I learn as much from your feedback as I do from my own desire to teach you things. So please consider as you go through this, I like, I wish, I wonder. And you can get feedback to me in any way that's convenient. Let's move forward. Next slide. All right, here we go. We're going to breathe. The first thing I'm going to do is just to ask you, with both feet on the floor, maybe put your hands on your knees. And I'm going to count with you, and we're going to do this breath, a 3-part breath. I want you to breathe in, 2, 3, 4. You're going to hold it at the top, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Out for the count of 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do it again. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Out. 4, 3, 2, 1. Do one more. Hold. And out. All right, you've done 3 cycles of that. How do you feel? Don't judge, just notice. Maybe you're gasping a bit like a fish at the start. Just notice how you feel. The 3-part breath is an amazing tool for clarity, calming yourself down, understanding that you've been pretty dysregulated, maybe much more than you thought you were. You can do the 3-part breath cycles for as long as it takes. Sometimes even just doing that 3 times, 4 times during a stressful situation or a point in your day when you're just at your limit can really reset you. That method of breathing, and a lot of these techniques as I go, they come from being practiced all over the world for thousands of years, they really do work. We're going to add one more thing to this. So I'm going to take your hands. And if you know where your kidneys are, reach your hands around your back if you're able to do that. And put your hands right above your hip bones on either side of your spine. And now just kind of breathe. Breathe at your own pace. But as you do this, I want you to think about taking your breath and focusing your attention back to where your hands are. Your adrenal glands control the release of cortisol into your system. So just by putting your hands and focusing your attention back there, you are giving yourself an ancient evolutionary cue that even if you're in fight, flight, or freeze, in this moment, you are safe. You are okay. You have time. So just spend a little bit of time doing that. Now we're going to do another technique and move on. This is the box breath. And the box breath, you wouldn't think like changing a little bit about this or that. We had all these counts, right? These counting. Box breath is just a little different. So get ready. And we're going to go in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it at the top. Breathe out for 4, 3, 2, 1. Now hold it at the bottom. Do it again. And hold. And breathe out. And hold. Do it again. Hold. Out. And hold. When you do that, and this applies also to the 3-part breath, if you like these and you like how they feel, experiment with extending the count. And especially extending your holds and extending your exhales. Extending the exhales is probably the most powerful way you can get your bang for your buck out of this. Some people like to do it through mouth, just kind of a gentle. Some people like to do it through the nose. You can make a straw with your lips if you want and control that one. It depends on where you are. You're standing in line and you're waiting and you don't have time to wait. Well, you might not want to express them so visibly, so you get to choose. The difference for me, I don't know, I'd be curious to feel, what did people notice depending on the box breath versus the 3-part breath. I think that the box breath has the capacity to really focus your attention. Something about that count at the bottom really focuses your attention and gives you this boom, 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 snap. You've now reset. The 3-part breath just takes you down and down and down. And if you're at the point where you're gasping for air, you just do them a few times and then return to sort of a normal. The key to breathing, and I think the key to some people, if you're an experienced meditator, it's different, but you don't judge, you just accept where you're at. One of my favorite intentions is come in as you are. Come in as you are. We're going to do one more. This is easy. It's kind of one of my favorites. If you have fingers, we'll use them. If you have hands, we'll use them. If you have feet, we might use them. You have a spine, probably. We'll use those. You're going to expand and contract. You're going to inhale. You're going to exhale. You're going to inhale. And you're going to exhale. You're just reminding yourself that all of the parts of you are here in this moment. Give some compassion to yourself for a state of strain that you might be in, that you might have come from. This is your body as your own best friend saying, I want to help you be here now and be the best that you can be. Sometimes it raises painful awareness that you are not indeed you wish you were. You can hold a lot of compassion to that. And the best thing you can do sometimes is, even if you're expanding and contracting, in our society, I think we do so many things that are virtual and visual. Your body is still here. We're not going to get rid of those, even with AI. It's the best. It's an incredible tool. It's incredibly powerful. Next slide. Again, so where I'm kind of going with this, for what it's worth to you, is that the point is to become familiar with this tool as a way to ground and center. It's funny, sometimes the analogy I think about is in the military, they have something called command presence. When you think about the military, you think about leadership, strength, power, courage. Yes. Well, you can't have command presence unless you are truly embodied in the moment and regulated. Regulated meaning your central nervous system is not firing off in a state of either primary trauma or secondary trauma. As attorneys, as you probably all know, there's been wonderful CLEs already presented here on secondary trauma. Secondary trauma, you're in it, my gosh, just based on the degree you're earning, the work that you're doing, the clients that you may see, you have secondary trauma. Do you do anything about it? The word responsible is interesting. Are you response able? If you are not, I would question whether that's mostly the effective advocacy that you want to present to the world. Authenticity is medicine. So your emotional responses are good and they help you be relatable to your people. I hope you be honest with yourself. Presence is leadership, and heart coherence is contagious. Heart coherence, by the way, is not just a fancy, gooey new age phrase. There's a really amazing work being done out there. Heart Math is a famous program. Your heartbeat will align with other people in the room when you are physically present together. Heart coherence, meaning your regulated state of responsibility, is contagious. So again, not going into my background because who cares? Here we are now. I don't care, but I have worked with a whole lot of people that have been pretty beat down by life or come into it under the worst of circumstances. Effective advocacy really requires your entire human presence to come to the table. So don't be afraid to be vulnerable, because I do realize as I'm teaching these techniques, there's maybe a tendency to be like, that's all over here and that. And then I put on my lawyer hat and go into the room and do it. Try to encourage yourself to be as integrated as you can. This is not easy and takes daily courage to show up to do it. Okay, next slide. I want to just recap why we do these breathing techniques. I have designed these to be, my phrase, quick and dirty. Fast, simple, discreet, powerful. You regain your balance when you know you're under stress. You say, woof, okay, wow, wow, wow. Part of the interesting thing about these is as you work with these skills more often, you're going to be more aware of the messages instead of being like, you operate from the head, from the neck up 100% of the time. And then the rest of you is like ignored until you're like laying in bed at night feeling like, whoa, what just happened to me? Integrating your body and your body being able to kind of talk back to you during the course of your day. So when you notice your stress, can you regain your balance? Sometimes as lawyers, it's inevitable, as anybody standing in line at the grocery store. Wow, negative or toxic interactions. Holiday gatherings come up, right? Whatever it is, our day and age, we have these. You can clear those. The sooner you pay attention to them, the sooner they pass through you and clear. Paying attention to them takes, again, skills. These are trainable skills. Your body, believe it or not, does have a life force in it, a force of energy that is separate from the calories you eat or the amount of sleep that you get. Those are really important. And you want to help your body by doing the best you can with your nutrition, your hydration, how exposed you are to traumatic sounds, all of those things. Your body is a really miraculous machine that's not a machine at all. It's a creature. We are bags of water and life force in it. So your body's flow of energy is really important to pay attention to and start to appreciate if this isn't something you do in your own way. Every person's different. You will find what works best for you. These are tools I offer. I truly say, I think that these skills help you make space for the best ethical decision making possible under very difficult circumstances. It helps you be a better communicator. The vast majority of communication is, in fact, nonverbal. And this continues to be true despite, and maybe even, gosh, we're even more aware of it than ever in our electronic virtual culture. That the best communication is actually with in-person physical presence interaction, or as best as we can do in trying to adapt the tools we have today. Aligning with your actions and your intentions to match your core values. Yeah, because until you're in a grounded state of standing in the center of your own moment, how can you align with what you believe in? Dysregulated states make it really hard to do that. So aligning your actions and intentions to your core values. I think these tools really kind of can help you get back to a place where that's maybe automatic even. That would be great, wouldn't it? Things shouldn't have to be so hard. Let's move on to the next slide. So I'm going to kind of pause before we move into our shift here. I'm really mindful of time and we're doing pretty good. I'd like to have a little time for feedback if people want, but we'll just kind of pause. Is there anything anybody wants to offer or redirect? Let's take a minute. And I can't see the chat, so maybe help me out. Anything that I need to catch up on?
I'm keeping an eye on the chat. Nothing in there right now. As we move into this exercise, I'll keep an eye on it as well. And I will just really quickly now, since I'm unmuted, share the first part of the attendance code, which I'll also drop into the chat for those who are unsure of where to ask a question. The first part of the attendance code is the word Zen, Z-E-N, Zen. I'm going to put that in the chat, which is also where you can ask any questions or share any thoughts. And then I'll turn it back over to you, Rachel.
So this is normal. Whenever I do these, we don't have a lot of chat initially, and I think that's because hopefully people have dropped in to a state of just perceptive, aware. You're very much in your own space, and that's good. You're in a private space, hopefully a space where you can just kind of be in your own experience. So this next part is great, and you're going to love this too. We're going to start with just a little bit of the basics of intention setting. And the intention setting is so powerful. If you don't do this, it will really be interesting for you. I did offer, I'll just say, I'm not afraid to be weird, right? I don't care. some people, and I have a friend who actually is the editor-in-chief of the American Journal of the Art Therapy Association, Dr. Emily Nolan. She had me review an article she just wrote on the use of tarot and oracle cards in therapeutic settings. And it'll be published in the Canadian Art Therapy Association Journal next month. The ethical use of those tools. I've used these for years. So sometimes people use oracle cards, or if you're a tarot reader, you can use those. Just anything that's visual. I also introduced in the email, if you have like, sometimes you have a stone or a flower or something that is meaningful or powerful to you, something that comes from nature. You know, I'm right now looking around me. I don't have anything super fancy on hand except for, here we go. You know, I've got a nice wreath, a natural object, right? And you can just kind of sit with that as a physical object and ask yourself some questions about the intention of taking a moment to do something with your body that doesn't really involve overthinking things too much. So move on to the next slide. And I did include a handout. Again, Dr. Nolan and I are colleagues, professional colleagues. We published some books together about this work of trauma resilience and somatic skills and all those things. Maybe just sitting with a couple of questions, just one, even a word can be an intention. What matters to you the most? What do you want to create or deepen in your life? What could you let go of right now? Big, little. What might you forgive that you've been holding on to? How would you like to feel? How would you like to feel? Or what are you grateful for? Next slide. So here's some examples of intentions. Intentions can be very challenging because you're asking yourself maybe to step into a space that you don't feel like you're in. It's the fake it till you make it kind of idea. I accept all parts of me as I am. I am exactly where I belong. Right there. I can let myself slow down. There is time. Maybe there's just a word, and if nothing comes to mind, that's fine. Just breathe, and maybe it'll come as we do our exercise. So, next slide. We're going to watch a little video. Maybe you did already. Before we do that, there's some materials for this exercise. I'll show you how simple this is. I just have my notebook. This is my basically notebook. And this is a Sharpie. That's it. Pen, paper. That's as simple as you really need it to be. Sometimes I use little, no, won't focus. Sometimes I use these little square tiles, but they're not necessary. All right, let's watch this video.
Just bear with me for 2 seconds while I get another share going. Can everyone see? Hopefully, yes. I'm going to play, and if the sound feels off, just drop it in the chat and I can adjust.
Thanks.
My name is Ava, and I'm an Art Speak intern. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to make a Zentangle. Repetitive motions can lull you into a close to meditative state, and this activity is designed to make you relax and de-stress through drawing patterns.
So we don't have sound. You can watch and still get the same idea.
Can be helpful. You can make any variety of marks and lines to fill your canvas. If you get stuck, think about the naturally occurring patterns all around you. Leaves, coral, tree growth. All of these things can be translated to patterns. Rotating the paper helps to reframe your perspective on the tangle and come up with new patterns. Here, I'm just adding some final details before I go in with pencil. Use your pencil to shade around your patterns to give depth to your drawing. This adds more visual interest and softens the look of the pen. When you're satisfied with your work, rotate the paper until you find the orientation that is most pleasing to you. Initial and date your work, and you're done. Thank you so much for watching and drawing with me. Goodbye.
Okay. So if we can get our slideshow back up, I'll recap those first steps. We're gonna do this for 10 minutes. And the thing to think about is keep it simple. Next slide. First thing you do is you draw a box. You draw a square. And then you divide that into 3 or 4 sections using a line. In each section, you pick a simple shape or a design that you can repeat to fill the space. Just go with what your hand wants to do. Don't think about this. Don't try to draw a thing unless you feel like you're sketchy and you want to draw something. The pencil bit is totally optional. I almost never introduce this in class. Sometimes we use colored markers, but you can use whatever you want. Rotate the paper. Feel free to move it around and get the different perspective. Begin by maybe just putting your hands on your paper, take a breath and think about your intention. And we're going to cue up a little music to play in the background. It is 12:35. I will give you a 2-minute warning to bring you back. Tell the inner critic to shut the up. This is not about performance, it's about how it feels. Go. Music here in just a minute. And just take about another minute. Maybe move your paper around to think about a place to put your initials and the date. It doesn't have to be finished. Take a minute. I'll bring you back. Okay. So you can keep going if you like. And we're gonna move into our flow again together. Move to the next slide. So sometimes you step back and you look at what you did or how it felt. What surprised you? What frustrated you? It's a little indicator of where your ego wants to throw a his fit, but it's gentle, gentle. Yes. Thanks, inner critic. But did you find a degree of relief or play? Is there anything about what you created that gives you a message of encouragement today?
There's some comments that it was relaxing. Some thumbs up to that, some hearts. There's a couple other people who are recalling memories of doing this in court or in study hall in high school.
funny, like 10 minutes can really feel like an awfully long time. In the initial part, you're like, oh dear God, I can't do this. Once you drop in, you sort of remember there's a different way to be here in this moment. And that's the point. Doesn't always have to be a message, but sometimes things come through that you really kind of maybe need to know to help you. Thank you for those of you who give some feedback. Next slide. Here's just a few things. I won't spend too much time here. I don't want to take you away from maybe a little bit of the respite. Creative respite is sort of the way I'm framing these things as I go and deliver them in interesting places across the world now. But the why is that folks in trauma have, it's just nonverbal. A lot of fragmentation happens to our brains and the processes. Creating art using your body bypasses the verbal centers of the brain. So when you can create things, and it depends on, the exercise. Obviously, I gave you like super basic because the whole idea is you be able to use these for yourself without a whole lot of thought or energy or whatever. But there are other exercises that directly access traumatic memories or just allow you to express and externalize. One of my other favorite exercises is called Smooth the Scribble. Take your pen, draw a giant scribble of in the middle, and then outline it again, outline it again. And as you go, you're actually smoothing the outline. By the time you're done with that, 30 seconds or a minute and a half later, you've smoothed your scribble. It's amazing how that feels sometimes. And then if you still don't feel done, you take it and tear it up, throw it against. Just kidding. You can do whatever. Next slide. So we engage the body and, you can let yourself understand that physical, tactile things help you. It can provide a distance from what's the story is in your head. It can just let you take it and put it someplace else, someplace where it can maybe be in relationship with you. I always feel like having something where you can put your thing up, where you can see it or not matters because it resonates with you. It's a conversation with a part of yourself that you might not have been aware wanted to say something. It fosters a lot of self-awareness. If you choose to go there, you can connect to your emotions, you can connect to your thoughts or reactions in a safe way. One of the things I love about these sessions is that we're doing them together. We're not together, but we're together. We're actually doing it in a shared space at the same time. And more on that in just a minute. That might be interesting to you. Next slide. So it does integrate both parts of your brain, or maybe I would say that left-right hemisphere thing is a little outdated now from neuroscience, but it engages more of your brain at the same time. Another interesting exercise is if you have two pens, wow, what a luxury, and a bigger piece of paper, take a pen in each hand and use them both bicamerally, right? Use them both houses of your brain to use and engage. And that can also really help you to process some stuff that might be happening that fragments and disorders your state of being or your thinking process. It can give people a visual container, literally a container. If you draw a container and fill it with words of things that are bothering you, it's just amazing how these exercises are. And in the future, maybe I can teach more of them to you. Next slide. Or you can learn them yourself. So here's where we went. We learned 3.5 breathing techniques, I'd say, because the one of extension contraction is just, it's just something interesting and new. We did a Zentangle. What you do with it is your choice, but I hope you put it up someplace where you can see it or keep working on it or decide it excited you enough to do another one. You got a little bit of a refresher if you weren't familiar with it on setting and intention and the basics of regulating your nervous system in these ways, specifically through, this frame of, movement. I do call it movement or stillness and breathing, and some attributes of resilience. So my challenge is, if you think about it, are there ways that you could literally integrate this into your day? Funny story, hopefully not too much information. I was listening to a guy who just wrote a book on tiny habits that change your life. And his rule is every time he goes to the bathroom, he does 50 push-ups. You tiny cues, tiny cues. So gosh, I don't know. Maybe every time before you make dinner, or once you've finished the main part of your dinner, you sit down and just do 10 minutes of this. Or do it right after you arrive in your car and you have your notebook sitting on the seat next to you. Doing them on a regular tiny basis is life-changing where it can be, especially for folks going through what I truly believe in my heart and in my head, I know you are dealing with on a regular basis. Next slide. So we're going to go back to this moment while we have a few minutes here of I like, I wish, I wonder. As you think about the time that we've spent here together, it went so fast. There's so much more. To what end? This has been, well, this work, for whatever reason, a moment now, has been really well received. And so based on the demand, I'm partnering with Bloom Art and Integrated Therapies to offer a virtual weekly drop-in. And it's going to be a lot like this. I anticipate this will be like donation based or what, it's free of charge. And there will be an actual art therapist. I'm not an art therapist, even though I've taught art therapy for art therapy doctoral students as an attorney teaching skills of different kinds. But to partner with art therapists to do this work, it's very much a drop-in. And every week there'll be a little bit of a different theme, a very short exercise that you can do. You don't have to have your camera on, you don't have to do anything at all. It's just available because there's been a bit of a demand for it. And in a time zone friendly manner, we'll probably have people from different parts of the world as well. Could be really interesting. Creative Somatic Hive, we're still in the formation stage, but plan to launch this in March. If you are interested in this, just find a way to let me know. I'm easy to find. And I think that's where I want to stop things for now. Give people a chance to kind of take a quiet transition so you're not so rushed into the rest of your day. I am very grateful for the chance to do this with you, and also grateful for any feedback because you're all from different buckets. Some law students, some volunteer lawyers, we have some additional attorneys, and each of you will have a different experience based on where you're at in your life right now and the work that you do. And I'm really curious to hear about all of it so that I can improve what I'm offering over time. Are there any questions? Happy to answer.
Thanks, Rachel. This is great. I see lots of thank yous in the chat. I'm just gonna quickly do the second part of the code, which is break. BREAK, break. And in the chat at the beginning was also the link to the form to submit, both for attending the CLE, but also as a platform to provide feedback, which we will share with Rachel. And thank you again so much. This was great. I'll stop the recording, and if anyone wants to unmute and say anything, feel free. Otherwise, I hope everyone enjoys the balance of their day.